All right. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We are back.
Yeah.
Continuing on with our look at the triennial Torah portion. This week we are going to be looking at Deuteronomy chapter 31. Deuteronomy 31. And our title for this week is He Went and Spoke. He went and spoke. Okay, so I'm going to be, as per usual, we'll just go ahead and read through the chapter, and then we'll go back and talk about, all of the exciting tidbits that we have inside of it. Let me go ahead and pull up the chapter here for us to read. While I'm pulling that up, we could go ahead and like, share the video. Subscribe if you ain't subscribed. We close to 600. We just need a couple more. Get that 600. All right, Deuteronomy 31. Okay, let me put it up on the screen here. All right, go ahead and read that chapter for us here. Hold on 1 second. Okay, good.
And Moshe went and spoke these words to all Israel. And he said to them, I am 120 years old today. I am no longer able to go out and come in. And Yahweh has said to me, you do not pass over this Jordan. Yahweh Elohim himself is passing over before you. He shall destroy these nations from before you, and you possess them. Yehoshua himself is passing over before you, as Yahweh has spoken. And Yahweh shall do to them as he did to Sihon and to Og, the sovereigns of the Amorites and their land, when he destroyed them. And Yahweh shall give them over to you, and you shall do to them according to all the command which I have commanded you. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear, nor be afraid of them, for it is Yahweh your Elohim who is going with you. He does not fail you nor forsake you. And Moshe called Yehoshua and said to them before the eyes of Israel, be strong and courageous, for you are going with this people to the land which Yahweh has sworn to their fathers to give them, and you are to let them inherit it. And it is Yahweh who is going before you. He himself is with you. He does not fail you nor forsake you. Do not fear nor be discouraged. And Moshe wrote this Torah and gave it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who bore the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, and to all the elders in Israel. And Moshe commanded them, saying, at the end of the 7th year, at the appointed time, the year of release, at the festival of Sukkot, when all Israel comes to appear before Yahweh your Elohim, in the place which he chooses, read this Torah before all Israel in their hearing. Assemble the people, the men and the women and the little ones, and your sojourner who is within your gates, so that they hear, and so that they learn to fear Yahweh your Elohim, and guard to do all the words of this Torah. And their children who have not known it should hear and learn to fear Yahweh. your Elohim, as long as you live in the land you are passing over the Jordan to possess. And Yahweh said to Moses, see, the days have drawn near for you to die. Call Yehoshua and present yourselves in the tent of appointment, so that I command them. And Moshe and Yehoshua went and presented themselves in the tent of appointment. And Yahweh appeared at the tent in a column of a cloud, and the column of a cloud stood above the door of the tent. And Yahweh said to Moshe, see, you are about to sleep with your fathers, and this people shall rise in horror after the mighty ones of the strangers of their land, into the midst of which they shall enter, and forsake me and break my covenant which I have made with them. Then my displeasure shall burn against them in that day, and I shall forsake them and hide my face from them, and they shall be consumed, and many evils and distresses shall come upon them. And it shall be said in that day, is it not because our Elohim is not in our midst that these evils have come upon us? And I shall certainly hide my face in that day, because of all the evil which they have done, for they shall turn to other mighty ones. And now write down this song for yourselves, and teach it to the children of Israel. Put it in their mouths, so that this song is to me for a witness against the children of Israel. And I shall bring them to the land flowing with milk and honey, of which I swore to their fathers, and they shall eat and be satisfied and be fat. Then they shall turn to other mighty ones, and they shall serve them and scorn me and break my covenant. And it shall be, when many evils and distresses come upon them, that this song shall answer before them as a witness. For it is not to be forgotten in the mouths of their seed, for I know their thoughts which they are forming today, even before I bring them to the land of which I swore to give them. And Moshe wrote this song the same day, and taught it to the children of Israel. And he commanded Yehoshua, son of Nun, and said, be strong and courageous, for you are to bring the children of Israel into the land of which I swore to them, and I myself am with you. And it came to be, when Moshe had completed writing the words of this Torah in a book until their completion, that Moshe commanded the Levites who bore the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, saying, take this book of the Torah, and you shall place it beside the ark of your covenant, the ark of the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim, and it shall be there as a witness against you. For I myself know your rebellion and your stiff neck. See, while I am still alive with you today, you have been rebellious against Yahweh, and how much more after my death? Assemble unto me all the elders of your tribes and your officers, so that I speak these words in their hearing, and call the heavens and the earth to witness against them. For I know that after my death you shall do very corruptly, and turn aside from the way which I have commanded you. And evil shall come to you in the latter days, because you do what is evil in the eyes of Yahweh, to provoke him through the work of your hands. So Moshe spoke in the hearing of the assembly of Israel the words of this song till their completion.
Okay, very good. All right, so we have a little bit of a cliffhanger with this chapter, because the Song of Moses is actually in the next chapter. So we'll talk about that at that time. If we go back up, a few things we want to look at. First of all, here, let me just put on here. Not the dictionary, sorry. That's what I wanted there. Alright, so let us first of all look at this first verse over here. A few things here that kind of kind of use as a springboard to move forward in the chapter here, we look at these first words here in the chapter here, where it says that Moshe went and spoke. He went and spoke. And I wanted to just kind of look at these things over here real fast. These words. Because Moshe is here speaking with Israel, the nation, at this time. And he hasn't gone anywhere. Like he's before the people. He's speaking before the people. And yet we see over here in verse 1 where it says that he went and spoke. If I'm somewhere and it says that I went, but I'm already with the people who I'm going to eventually speak to, it seems like I left them and then began speaking like somewhere else where they wasn't, because I went.
You went somewhere else.
Yeah, I went to a different place. But he didn't go anywhere, right? He was there speaking with Israel. And so it's interesting that they use this inspiration, use this word here, because again, Moshe wasn't going anywhere. He really came before them, actually, unto them, really, and then spoke to them, right? Because the things that he was getting ready to say, was things that he wanted for them to be hearing. And so when we look at this word here, went, here, let me get my cursor here. This word here is halach. Halach. To walk. And a great variety. Walk along, behave, so on and so forth. I want to look at, where is it here? Go down. Oh, right here. Halak, the word study. All right, it's to come, it's to go, it's to walk. It's to go, to come, to walk. This common word carries with it the basic idea of movement. Movement. The word is really about the movement, right? The flowing of a river. It uses that word in Genesis 2:14. The descending of floods. It uses in Genesis 8:3. The crawling of beasts, right? All dealing with these different things moving. The slithering of snakes. The blowing of wind, right? All of these things moving. The tossing of the sea. Since it is usually a person who is moving, it is frequently translated walk, right? Because that's how we walk. That's how we move. We walk, right? We take our little legs and we put one in front of the other, and it gets us from here to there. And so when we think about this word, it's really dealing with the way in which a thing, a person, place, or thing moves. Right? The way in which a person, place, or thing moves. And so when we think about Moshe and the way he moved, another thing we want to think about also is that which is experienced on or during the movement, right? The way in which he behaved, the way the way that he walked. And I don't mean like his gait. Like, there's a word, halakha, which deals with the way in which, law is carried out, right? The way that you walk. And so when we think about Moshe, who was basically the leader of the nation over here, he is not going over into the land, but the way in which he kind of is sending off the people is by saying to them, look at the way that I walked, and perhaps this can help you when you walk. Okay? This word over here, this word halach. Let's see if we can. We have the ancient. Oh yes, look, it's right here. No, it's not all of it. Here, let me pull up our whiteboard. Okay. Let's see where's my pencil here. Make it red. So halach looks like this. It's kind of difficult to do this with the the little pad. Okay, so the ancient of the Hay, the Lamed, and the Kuf, the Kaf, looks like this. You have a man with his arms raised here. Which gives you the idea of breath, but it also gives you the idea of revelation. Mm-hmm. And so we see that. We see the shepherd's staff, which is the lamed, and the kaf is the palm. Okay, so we have the palm, or the shepherd's staff in the hand of the man with his arms raised, the man in his experiences, the man who is having things be revealed unto him as he is led through his situation, right? And so when we think about this idea of, again, walking, and Moshe actually walking, right? He's pointing the people to be able to look at him and his deeds, because, for the most part, he really was a model citizen, right? He had this kind of, I don't want to say minor slip up. I'm only saying minor because you would think that, he would get a little more of a chance. But, understanding that because of who he was, there was a greater responsibility placed upon him, right? So he should have done better, right? And so Moshe is asking for the people to look at his walk, and listen to the words that he speaks, right? He said he went and he spoke, right? He debarred, right? Which is to speak words. And so let's look over at James. We're still talking about Deuteronomy, but we want to think about what it is that Moshe is instructing the people over here. Let's look at James 2. Read for us. Read from us. Start reading at verse 14.
My brothers, what use is it for anyone to say he has belief, but does not have works? This belief is unable to save him. And if a brother or sister is naked and in need of daily food, but one of you says to them, "Go in peace, be warmed and be filled," but you do not give them the bodily needs, what use is it? So also, belief, if it does not have works, is in itself dead.
Okay, just stop right there. When we think about what James, what Yaakov is doing over here, he's describing for us what actual faith actually is, right? It's not something that's internal. It's not like an internal invisible thing. Like he gives the example, if you see these people who are in need, he's not giving the people something that's intangible when they obviously need food and provisions, right? It don't do them any good for him to just say, go on and in peace and be warm, even though it's winter and you don't have a coat.
Don't make sense,
right? So he says, faith, belief, is like unto it. If I'm saying that I have faith, then my everyday experience is going to signify such, right? In terms of my works, my actions, the things that I do. If my faith doesn't have actions, then it's dead. Right? Something's alive because it's moving, it's breathing, right? It's doing things, right? That's how you know that it's alive. If it's dead, if it's just sitting there, not doing nothing, right? It's dead. And so understanding that this faith looks like something, and the way in which we understand, what faith looks like is by looking at the life of an individual, right? Seeing how they operate, seeing how they walk, seeing how they experience the world. Not just only hearing the things that they say, but actually seeing the things that they do and seeing if the things that they say lines up with the things that they do. When we think about, Yeshua speaking about the Pharisees, he said to the people, these Pharisees. Hold on. Let me just look that up real quick. Let me put that up here real quick. Let's see here. Seat. One moment. Matthew. Let's look at Matthew 23. Matthew 23. Okay, start reading there at verse 1.
Then Yeshua spoke to the crowds and to his taught ones, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit on the seat of Moshe. Therefore, whatever they say to you...
Hold on, let's talk about this for a minute. He said that the scribes and the Pharisees, the experts and the facilitators of the law, the scribes and the Pharisees, the experts and facilitators of the law, sit in the seat of Moshe, he said. And therefore, because of that, with that in mind, go ahead, what did it say?
It says, whatever they say to you to guard and do, but do not do according to their works. For they say and do not do.
See, the Pharisees are some hypocrites. Right? But Moshe said, do what I'm doing and do what I'm saying. Right? They sat in the seat of Moses. They sat in the seat where they are supposed to be looked at and listened to. Right? Because it said they sit in the seat of Moses. Therefore, because they sit in the seat of Moses, look at what they say and do that stuff. But also, that seat, should cause for you to look at their actions as well. But they were bad representatives. But anyway, back over to James chapter 2. These things are supposed to go along with one another, that which you say and that which you do. All right, so read for us verse 18.
But someone might say, you have belief and I have works. Show me your belief without your works, and I shall show you my belief by my works.
Okay, very good. So it's interesting because you're dealing with these things where, in all actuality, they are able to exist, separate from each other. You can have somebody who is just doing things. And that's possible. People are out here and they do things. And it's not a true representation of who they are. Well, when I say who they are, I'm saying who they are in the sight of the Most High.
People, they faking.
People's out here faking it to making it. Fake it to make it. Right? And so there is the ability to be able to do things. However, what James is describing over here is people doing things based on an internal motivation. It's interesting, one of the things that Yeshua did that kind of showed that he was indeed divine was that he's able to look at certain ones and know their intentions. But he knew what their thoughts, he knew what they was thinking, and spoke to things that was going on in their heads before they even said a thing. Right? And so when we think about works, again, they have to be something that's motivated from your faith and not just you doing things, right? Because people outside of Messiah can keep the Sabbath, right? People outside of Messiah can wear tassels, can eat clean, can keep the feast days, can take care of the fatherless and the widow, right?
Might even do it better than the person.
All right, but the idea, like what Moshe is saying over here, where it says that Moshe went and spoke. He wanted to make sure that the people were seeing the way in which he did, and also what he spoke, his walk and his words. A mixture of the two, right? Because some people have all the right answers, but these things aren't properly being applied in their life situations. All right, keep on going. Verse 19.
You believe that Elohim is one. You do well. The demons also believe and shudder.
Mm-hmm.
But do you wish to know, O foolish man, that the belief without the works is dead? Was not Abraham our father declared right by works when he offered Yitzhak, his son, on the slaughter place? Do you see that the belief was working with his works, and by the works the belief was perfected? And the scripture was filled which says, Abraham believed Elohim, and it was reckoned to him for righteousness, and he called him he who loves Elohim.
Okay, very good. So when we think about Abraham, right, he did what he did based on the faith that he had. Right? The thing that he did was a manifestation of what was going on internally inside of him. Right? He wanted to have a son more than anything. And he knew that the Most High was going to provide for him. Right? So he went up there just like the Most High said for him to go up there. But at the same time, he knew, even, in binding up his son, that even at raising up the knife and ready to plunge it down, knew that the Most High would in fact provide. And so, actions and words, they go in tandem, right? Works, faith. What you're saying and what you're doing. Here, finish off this chapter. 24.
You see then that a man is declared right by works and not by belief alone. In the same way was not Rahab the whore also declared right by works when she received the messengers and sent them out another way? For as the body without the spirit is dead, so also the belief is dead without the works.
Yes. And so when we look at Moses, who is not only speaking words, he's not only speaking words to the people, but he's also demonstrating a lifestyle, a way of living as well. Right? He wasn't only just presenting things to them, but he was actually living a certain way as well. And he had quite some time to exhibit this, right? When we look over back at Deuteronomy chapter 31, at this point, he's 120 years old. And he's no longer able to be the one who is able to be looked to, right? He said, I no longer am able to go out and come in. He's just speaking about the idea of, his life, because he's going to die. He's at the end of his situation, but he's sending off the people out to go and continue. They're going to have to look to other places now at this point, because Moses is about to die.
People probably scared too.
Right, they don't know what's going on. They got to deal with whatever comes next. This is all they know.
They've been used to complaining to him.
All they know is Moses. That's all they know. What's it going to be now? They know that it's going to be a predecessor, but it's not going to be Moses, right? And so there's things that they have to look to remember, and Moses is here. He's trying to fill the people's hearts and minds and prepare them all to for what is to come. I want to look at verse 3. Read verse 3 again for us.
Yahweh Elohim himself is passing over before you. He shall destroy these nations from before you, and you possess them. Yehoshua himself is passing over before you, as Yahweh has spoken.
Okay, very good. So he gives them a little bit of a comfort here, because even though Moses isn't going to be going over with them, right? Even though Moshe is not able to continue on the journey, he says in verse 3, Yahweh, your Elohim himself, is passing over. He's going to go over before you. And he's going to prepare the land and destroy these nations before you so that you're able to possess it. And not only, and then also Yehoshua, right? Taking over his place. And so I wanted to think about a little bit the idea of, understanding that the Most High still, even to this day, is passing over before you, right? He even still to this day is able to precede you, go before you, and deal with your enemies, the things that are against you ahead of time, and prepare a way as you go. If we follow the leading of the Most High. Let's look over at Isaiah. Read for us Isaiah 58. Read verse 11. Verse 11.
11. It says, Then Yahweh would guide you continually and satisfy your being in drought. And strengthen your bones, and you shall be like a watered garden and like a spring of water, whose waters do not fail.
Okay, very good. So it's interesting we look at this, the one who is guided by the Most High continually is able to be satisfied in a drought and have their bones be strengthened in a time of lack. Right? That person, the one who is able to be guided by the Most High continually, is able to be like this watered garden. That thing has got green all over the place. Things growing, right? Like a spring of water whose waters does not fail. The spring of water, the waters is pouring out. But all of this is for the one who is guided continually by the Most High. What's this word here? Yahweh shall guide thee continually. Nacha. Nacha. To guide, to transport, to bring, to govern. Interesting. To govern. That's interesting that this word that is translated as guide, when you think about someone bringing you, guiding you, leading you, straighten you, putting you. But that govern is also included in this thought of what this word means. Because part of the way that you are guided by the Most High is actually being governed by his ways. This is in fact how he guides you. He guides you by governing you. Right? And so when you are governed by the Most High, then you're able to be satisfied during a drought and be strengthened in your bones and be like a watering garden and like a spring of water whose waters do not fail. When you are governed by the Most High. And so Moshe, when he's talking to the people, dealing with them about to be going over into the land without him, saying the Most High, he's going before you. He's leading you. You're following his lead. He's the one who's been leading us the whole time anyway. Moshe is just the liaison. Is that French? Liaison? Huh? Exodus 13. Read verse 21.
It says, and Yahweh went before them by day in a column of cloud to lead the way, and by night in a column of fire to give them light. So
This is what he been doing. Oh, so it has to go by day and night. This is what he been doing, right?
Mhm.
He been leading them.
Like he has to remind them.
He does have to remind them. But the thing about it is,
Absolutely.
he got to remind you and I as well, though. But it's just interesting that he's putting this here in their minds as they're getting ready to go, understanding that they're in this this transitional point, but understanding that the Most High, we have to be able to allow for the Most High to lead us and guide us so that we can be, Moshe just wants for the people to be victorious. He just wants for the people to be able to strive and survive. And so the key thing that he's given them is let the Most High lead you. That's how you do it. Don't worry that I'm not coming over there with you. Let the Most High lead you.
You could do it.
You're going to have a reasonable replacement for me in Yehoshua. He's going to be the new liaison. But the Most High going to still be leading us. Leading the people over there into victory. Read Psalms 5 and 8.
O Yahweh, lead me in your righteousness because of those watching me. Make your way straight before my face.
He said, lead me in righteousness because of my enemies. This one says, because of those watching me. It's people looking at me. Lead me in righteousness so that they can see you in me. That's the first thing Moshe said over here. Right? He went and spoke. But again, we talked about how he didn't go anywhere. Right? We're pointing out the fact that Moshe needs for the people to be able to look towards who he was as a friend of the Most High. Somebody who was able to speak to the Almighty face to face, leaving them with these parting words. And so, we think about what's going on over here. We want to be led by the Most High. We want to be led by the Ruach HaKodesh. Psalms 5 and 8. O Yahweh, lead me in your righteousness because of those that's watching me. There's people that's looking on at me, just checking up, just making sure. Is he still on that thing he on? Let me check him out. Let me see what he doing. Let me see if he's still in the quote unquote in the faith. Lead me in your righteousness because of those watching me. Make your way straight before my face. And so not only is this dealing with the idea of you being led in righteousness, but also you also having an understanding of the straight path that you're on, by the way. You know, because you could be going somewhere and don't know where you're going. You know, I experience this all the time, and all of us do when we enter in, our destination into GPS. It's one thing to do it in your city, where you're familiar with all of the places. Oh, turn left on this street, or turn right on so and so and such and such.
Know what time you're gonna get there or something.
Well, that's something that I do, sometimes in that regard. But even still, it's like I know, in that case, I know where I'm going. But if I'm in another city altogether, I don't know the streets. I don't know anything. When we just went on our little journey down to the land of my mother-in-law's father, and mother, driving around on GPS, I knew where I was going because I'm following the GPS, but I was really lost. I was going where I wanted to go and getting there, but I was lost, completely lost. I didn't know where I was, right? And so you could be going somewhere, doing all the things that it takes for you to get from A to B, and be completely lost still. That's bars right there. We need some sounds to go off right there. But when we think about what it says over here, where it says, make your way straight before my face, I feel like that has to do with you having an understanding. You having an understanding and a relationship actually with the ways. Where it's more than you just going right, taking 10 steps, turning around, going left, just doing steps, but having an intimate knowledge with the path and the way, and an understanding. Right? But when we do this, right, when this is the way in which we walk, now we're able to allow for some of these things to come to pass that we see over here in these verses. Let's go over to let's look at let's go to the book here of wisdom. Let's look at chapter 9. Chapter 9. Read verse 11. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Get some more. Verse 11.
For she knoweth and understandeth.
Wisdom is the she. Okay, go. Keep on going.
For she knoweth and understandeth all things, and she shall lead me soberly in my doings, and preserve me in her power.
Okay, very good. So I thought this was interesting because it has the idea of this soberly, right? Because there is, as opposed to being led somewhere drunkenly, right? You're not just going a place. You're not just getting from A to B, going from here to there, but there's a soberness that's involved in it. Okay? And so there's a knowledge and there's an understanding that's had in your doings. Right? So when you think about this idea, what we're talking about as far as being led, being guided by the Most High, we're not dealing with the idea of being like robots over here, right? But we're moving about with understanding, right? We're moving about with a soberness, right? And so that we are able to actually experience and understand the things that are actually going on. Look over at Romans 8 and 14. What's that say?
For as many as are led by the Spirit of Yah, they are the sons of Elohim.
This is really something that is part of who it is that we are, in terms of being led by the Ruach, led by the Spirit. This is the way that we move. And again, Moshe is talking to these people who are going without him. Don't worry that I'm not coming with you, because you have the Creator and Sustainer of all things who's going before you, and who's going to make the way for you to be able to go. And just like it was for the ancient Israel, way back, coming out of the wilderness, going into the land, so is it also for us when we are led by the Spirit of Elohim. And so just like Moshe was here, encouraging the people, instructing the people to listen to the words that he had to say. The words that he had to say was, follow the Most High. Follow the Ruach HaKodesh.
I guarantee you people thought they was following Moshe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they were so mad at him all the time. They had no
Right.
clue.
Right. Which was kind of really the problem when you think about the whole idea of, the carnality of the people to begin with, to even say, I don't want to hear from the Most High anymore. That was way too scary for me. I only want to hear from you. If you go talk to him, you deal with all of the thunderings and the lightnings. If it's always going to be like that, you deal with that, and then you just bring back to me just plain words.
How could they be so scared of someone that was on their side?
Well, I don't know that.
They wanted the humble guy.
I don't know that. I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, that's kind of how we are. We don't want the boss that comes around and he's always barking and yelling and all of that. We want the pushover. We want the one that we could get to do our bidding.
Yes.
Right? We're able to deal with this Moses guy. We could take care of him, but lightnings and thunderings and trumpet blasts that get louder and louder, what are we gonna do with that? But again, when you think about what that ends up being now, is that there is this kind of a disconnect, right? There is this there is that idea that because of the fact that there was kind of this separation there was kind of this this there was this thing where we had to deal with Moshe being in the middle. It would then create this type of distance. It creates this type of distance between the people and the Most High, where there had to have been a confusion, right? There had to have been a confusion where they're looking towards Moshe, where they needed to be looking towards the Most High.
Yeah.
And so, even when you think about the idea of Moshe not going over, it's almost like the Most High is like taking the training wheels off of the bike.
Right.
Like Moshe, he can't go in. Y'all got to be done with Moshe. You know, we'll give you Yehoshua. He's a regular guy. He was down there with y'all. He's a regular guy. And he'll be the leader, and you know we're gonna understand that the Most High is at the forefront.
He took away all three of the people that he said brought them out.
Yeah,
He said
yeah.
He sent Moses, Aaron, and Miriam.
None of them made it. None of
made it
the
out.
original leaders made it over into the land. And I'm saying that it probably is for the own good of the people. You know, it's just you know, training wheels are good for a time. You know, they help you from falling. They teach
right.
you to learn how to ride. But eventually those training wheels have to come off, and I feel like, you know, Moshe, Aharon, Miriam was the training wheels.
Mm-hmm.
And you know they didn't make it.
Mhm.
But Moses is instructing the people.
Yep.
Understand, the Most High is making a way for you. Follow his lead. Follow his lead. Okay?
The lights come.
Or didn't knock us off. We having some electrical things so it happened just now.
I got a notification. It's supposed to be a thunderstorm.
Okay, very good. All right, so let's keep on going here. Let's look at let's look at this. Let's look at let's go to Galatians. Galatians 5.
Yeah.
Read verse. Read 18. Right there.
Galatians 5:18. It says, "But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under Torah."
Okay, very good. And so, when we think about this verse over here, right? It's so interesting when we look at this verse in the context, because if we was to read here, go up, start reading at 16.
And I say, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not accomplish the lust of the flesh.
Okay, hold on one second. Yeah, go ahead.
For the flesh lusts against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh, and these are opposed to each other, so that you do not do what you desire to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under Torah.
Okay, read the one underneath.
And the works of the flesh are well known.
Okay, hold on. So it said over here that the flesh lusts against the Spirit against the flesh. So don't be led by the flesh, be led by the Spirit. But if you're led by the Spirit, you're not under Torah. But then the works of the flesh, it says those things are well known. Which are these? What are they?
Adultery, whoring, uncleanness, indecency, idolatry.
All these things that the Torah tells you not to do.
Mm.
Hmm? Verse 20. What 20 is that?
Idolatry, drug sorcery, hatred, quarrels, jealousies, fits of rage, selfish ambitions, dissensions, factions, envy, murders,
All these
drunkenness,
things. Drunkenness, wild parties, all these things.
and the like.
All those things is things that is the works of the flesh that works against the spirit. But if I'm in the spirit, I'm not under the Torah, which causes me to do all of these things. And so we got to understand that under the Torah don't mean you doing things contained in the Torah. What it means is being under the control of the old covenant. It's the old covenant. That's what that is. You're being led by the Spirit. Now you're not under the old covenant. Because you still have these ways about you that you behave in terms of the life that you live, your walk, and the things that you do. Okay? You still are dealing with the being led by the Spirit of the Most High, but it's for lack of a better word, it's different than before. But it's not different in terms of what it looks like. You still are going around committing adultery and whoring and participating in uncleanness and indecency and idolatry and jealousies, right? You're still not doing these things. But you're moving. What's the same is you're still being led by the Most High. Good.
Working on the conference, we're going to be talking about mothering adult children, and hopefully our electricity don't go out. But I'm just thinking about how Moshe is kind of like being the father of these. Now he's like, y'all are adults.
Yeah.
Like, you can't ride on my coattails anymore. Like,
right.
Yeah. Similar to how we're going to tell our children when, y'all have to have your own faith and y'all going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have a relationship with the Most High.
Yeah.
So I just was thinking about that when reading this. It's just like he's been their father all this time.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's like, but y'all don't really need me.
Yeah. You need the Most High.
You need the Most High.
Y'all need the Most High. Right? Just like each and every one of us. I just want to say that in the event that the stream gets abruptly interrupted, we're having some serious storms right now, and it's only because of the Most High. Okay? Alright, so back to our regularly scheduled programming. Okay, what do we have down here? What's this say? Can you imagine adults riding bikes with training wheels, never learning to cultivate their own relationship with the Father? I mean, that's what the thing is. And so it's interesting that, that the things that happened, the things that transpired in the wilderness right at the end, they made it all the way to the end, that just so happened to remove Miriam, Aharon, and Moshe from the equation. Giving this new understanding that we have to be able to look towards the Ruach HaKodesh, look towards the Spirit of the Most High to lead us and guide us, just like He's always been guiding us all along. All right, let's drop down. Let's drop over to, first of all, let's go back to Deuteronomy here. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 31. Read again for us verse 6.
Be strong and courageous. Do not fear nor be afraid of them, for it is Yahweh your Elohim who is going with you. He does not fail you nor forsake you.
This is repeated over here, right? The fact that Yahweh your Elohim is going with you. He's going before you, and he's going to be with you. He's going to go and he's going to fight the people before you get there. He's going to prepare a way. He's going to weaken your foes and your enemies before you get there. And when you get there, the battle's going to be already won. It says that he does not fail you nor forsake you. So all that being said, he said, be strong and courageous. Do not fear nor be afraid of them. Don't fear them or be afraid of them. In fact, be the complete opposite of that. Be strong and courageous. Let's look at this. Let's look at this word here. Kazakh. To fasten upon. To hence. To seize. To be strong. When you think of, when I think about something being seized, I understand something being seized because I deal with nuts and bolts. When I deal with nuts and bolts, especially for whatever reason, stainless steel. Sometimes you work outside in the elements and it calls for all of the hardware to be stainless steel because it deals with the, it's out there with the rain and the elements and there's water and things get, begin to rust and all of this. But stainless steel, it has a propensity to seize up. When you tighten it up, when you tighten some of these stainless bolts, sometimes they when you get them real extra tight, they get seized up and you can't untighten them very easily when they're seized up. Right? When these things get seized up, they're immovable. They become immovable. Right? They don't move very easily. And so when you think about the idea of being strong, right, this corresponds with the idea of faith. Where faith deals with firmness. Right? These are totally different words, but they deal with the same principle of being steadfast, right? And so Moshe is saying to the people, fasten yourselves. Get fastened. Become strong. The word here. This word here is strong. Kazakh. Oh wait. See, strong, courageous, strengthen, cure. Cure. When you think about cure, like curing meats. Like if I cured some meat, right, I would be like preserving it. Right? If I'm curing this thing, I'm making so that it's able to last for a long time without spoiling. Right? And so when we think about this in terms of you and I, right, it's important that we understand these things. Right? Because this is the instruction that Moses is giving to the people. Be cured. Be strengthened. Right? Be strong. Be seized up. Right? Be fastened upon. Don't allow for things to be able to come around and push you over. Because the Most High already done went over and pushed the enemies over already. And so the thing that you're facing is a lesser version of what was readying itself for you. There was something that was getting ready. It was setting a trap for you. It was preparing itself for you. The Most High went over, fought it first, and then you getting the beat down version of that. Right? It's interesting that he's not just saying just be strong and courageous. First, the first thing he says, the Most High is going before you. Verse 5, it said, and Yahweh will deliver them up before you, and you shall do to them according to all the commandments which I have commanded you. He's going to first go and prepare that people to be conquered by you first. And so all you have to do is remember the fact that the Most High fights your battles.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting when we think about this all in its completeness, right? Because he's moving away the crutches. He's moved away the training wheels, right? He's moving the people into this new situation where they're forced to have to be able to look more intently on the Most High. You know, they still have this leader in Yehoshua, but, you know, he's one of them, right? And so they're able to potentially have a better relationship with the Most High and more of an understanding so that they're able to do these things that the Most High, that Moshe is saying to them, to be strong and to be courageous, right? This is what we have to be doing as we live and be out here in this world, because we're constantly coming up against adversities and enemies and things and people that are against us. And we have to be strong and courageous in the face of adversity. We have to be strong and firm and seized. What's this word? And of good courage. What's this word here? Amatz. Alert. Physically. On foot. Courageous. Steadfastly minded. Strong. Fortifies a different word, but it's giving you the same idea. Obstinate. Why is that in there? Obstinate. Right? Because you're firm, right, in your thoughts as it relates to the Most High and his ability to carry out the things that he said he was going to do for you, through you. Right? These are very important lessons that the Most High is teaching through Moses to the people as they go forward, because this, you know, this is our life existence. Going through the wilderness, going to the places that the Most High is taking us to. Unknown places, places you've never been before, but the Most High said go there. But we still have to be strong and courageous. And don't fear and don't be afraid. Right? he says over here in verse 6, as we read, fear not. Let's look at this word, fear. Let me pull up the dictionary. Yeah. Let's see it here. Oh yeah. Where's the edge? Just a little bigger here. Fear. Let's see here. A painful emotion or passion excited by an expectation of evil. A lot of times we get into these situations where we have this expectation of evil. Something's going to happen. I don't know what it is, but it can't be good. It can't be good. And so much so that I'm not feeling comfortable with going forward. I remember when I was doing this outside job, we were changing services on these houses. And we pulled up to this house. It looked like this abandoned house. It was spooky looking, to be honest. TBH, this place was kind of spooky. And so as I'm looking over the situation, considering whether I'm going to chalk this one up as one that I'm not able to do. Because, we would get to places and you would just say, I can't do this one for whatever reason. You mark it on the thing and you leave out. But as I'm mulling this over in my mind, I see this goat. And I'm saying it's a goat, but it was more like a ram because the thing had like horns on it. And it was just roaming free about the property. And I'm sitting there, I'm supposed to be training this guy, showing him what to do. And at the same time, I'm looking out the corner of my eye at this ram. I'm calling it a ram now at this point, prancing around the place as if it was his place. He knew that he was supposed to be there, and I wasn't supposed to be there. And so within myself, I had this expectation of evil. I expected for that thing to charge me with his horns and knock me down. Right? I had an expectation of evil. And so I left. I didn't have no time. I don't got no time to be sitting over getting rammed by rams and so on and so forth. So, I ain't got time for that at work. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to go through this. I'll go somewhere else where I don't have to have these things threatening me. Yeah, I don't need that in my life, right? And so I'm saying all that just to say that I had an expectation of evil, right? Which is fair. That's what it is, right? An apprehension of impending danger. That's what I had, right? But I'm saying you don't need that at work, right? You don't have to deal with these things, right?
You're not getting paid enough for that.
No, they're not paying me to get rammed by rams. They paying me just to do a specific task, right? But in life, though, where we're dealing with things that the Most High, is specifically telling for us to go do, in these areas, fear don't have no business over there. Because the Most High said, go over there. I'm not sure if the Most High told me to be at that place. He might have showed me that so that I could leave. Right? But when we talking about the Most High saying for you to do this or for you to do that, is where we see over here in terms of the Most High saying, you go over here, I'm going to prepare the thing for you. You don't be afraid and don't fear. And so when we do get into a place of fear, when the Most High is saying go do X, Y, Z, and you say I can't, we have to think about what it is that we're doing inside of ourselves to the Most High. You saying all kind of, you saying he a lie. You being disobedient. He's a lie. He's not able. You saying all of these things whenever you say, when the Most High say, go do this, that, and the other thing, and you say, I can't do it. You're saying that these things are greater than the Most High. Because he said that he's able to defeat these things, and you're saying, I'm too scared to follow through, so he must not be able to defeat the things. Right? We don't think about all of these things that we say without saying when we do these things, in our life. When we get to the place where we say that the Most High has called for me to be doing this or that, you don't understand the importance of and the severity of what you're bringing on yourself when you say the Most High said, when the Most High said do this. And then you get to the place of saying, I'm afraid to do it. Because you made an idol. I keep adding to the list. You made an idol. You're being disobedient. You're saying the Most High is insufficient. This thing's greater than the Most High. All of these things. And so these are all the things that Moses is talking to the people about in regards to moving forward without him, but expressing the fact that he is there with them, going before them, preparing the way. Let's go over to 2 Timothy. Second Timothy 1, read verse 7.
For Elohim has not given us a spirit of cowardice, but of power and of love and of self-control.
That's interesting. That version, it don't even say fear; it says cowardice. I feel like cowardice. I feel like cowardice is something that's more than fear. I'm not only afraid, fearful, but a spirit of cowardice. That just makes it seem more severe. It seems. Hey, what's this? Let me see this. Timidity, fear, timidity. I feel like this is another kind of aspect. Oh, that's... So the idea of timidity, right? If somebody is timid, right, they're able to be pushed and moved, right? They don't offer any resistance, right? They just whatever, they're a pushover, right? It's the complete opposite of what he said. Don't be strong, be fastened, be fixed, be seized, right? And so over here, he's saying Elohim hasn't given us the spirit of cowardice or timidity, but of power and of love and of self-control. He's given us the spirit of power, where we're able to overcome things. We're able to push through things where things, aren't easily able to defeat us. You ever just get in a situation and just be like, man, I just can't. That's not the spirit of power. That's the spirit of timidity. But he didn't give you the spirit of timidity. He actually gave you the spirit of power. When you get into a situation, the first thing you think of can't be, oh man, this is way too hard. I can't just. I think I just gotta say, I was supposed to stay there and change the service with the ram there. Because all I had to do was just see her. I just needed an excuse, really, to go. Right? But operating according to the spirit of power, I would have said, man, I don't care about that ram over there. I'm going to do what I got to do. Because I don't have the spirit of cowardice. I got the spirit of power.
You would be able to outrun the ram.
Well, I don't know if I would outrun it, but maybe I would have been able to withstand his strikes.
Was his horns bent, or did he have the straight joints?
I feel like they was bent.
Okay, well that's
He was
At
out
least
in
you
the
would've got
country.
stabbed.
I feel like they was bent.
He's in Greensboro.
I feel like my memory might not be as strong as reality. But in my mind, that thing looked like the ram from the Ram truck commercial. In my mind, I can't confirm whether it really was that at this point, because it was some time ago at this point. But that being said, what I'm saying is that when we look at what Paul is saying over here, in fact, Elohim has actually given us the spirit of power and not the spirit of cowardice. Right? He's caused us to be able to go and face these things that are against us and decide inside of ourselves that we're able to win. And this is really the mind that you have to have, especially in this world today where things are just against you. Things are just against you. If you gave in to everything that pushed against you, where would you be? Nowhere. You would never get anywhere, because there's something that's always pushing against you. There's something that's always in your path that is obscuring your ability to move freely in the direction that you want to be moving in. And so you could either do what is necessary to combat these obstacles and things, pressures against you, or you could allow for them to win. But if you was to do that, you definitely would be operating in the spirit of cowardice, which the Most High did not give you. Go ahead.
I just think about how for Sukkot, it just seems like mostly every year something
Oh my
happens.
goodness. Oh my
There's
goodness.
adversity. Like just stuff that just is just weird. Like the gas tank is, you go out the day before the feast and the gas is all in a pool in the garage.
Yeah.
Like I had just filled up the day before. Or, you know, all of us get COVID or something. You're like, you know, just crazy.
Yeah.
So we could have had COVID all year. You know?
Yeah. Why'd it have to be right before
Well, had to be
the day before we leave?
It's just, you know.
And so, but that's what life does to us. And so either we operate according to the spirit of cowardice or timidity. You know, if something's timid, it don't even always got to be a strong force or resistance. If it's timid, it could be a light resistance. And that's all it takes. But when you think about that, when you think it you know, there's so many times, you know, when we think about the feasts, that things happen, and these things are saying, you not going to the feast. You not doing the things that the Most High is calling for you to do right now. Instead, you gonna stop right now. And so you can either go along with that or push on through. And so when we think about Moses speaking to the people, I mean, it's a huge adversity just to even say, y'all go across, I'm staying over here. That's a huge adversity for them, because you talking about this next generation, the only person that they know as a leader is Moses. He been leading them the whole time. And so for the people to now be in a situation where they have to go into this unknown situation without Moshe forever, never to see him again, you know, it's an adversity to say the least. But Moses is saying to the people, never mind this thing that's going on in the physical, because you got the creator and sustainer of all things going before you. You don't have a reason to fear, because the Most High is going before you and he's going with you. He's doing both. What does it say over here? There's power in using wisdom to know if you should be using your strength. Yes, I mean, that's what wisdom is. Wisdom is the right application of knowledge. You know, that's what wisdom is. You know, but at the same time, you know, in the context, you know, we want to be able to understand that when it deals with, you know, doing the things that the Most High has instructed for us to do, which is really the example that we dealing with. The Most High saying, go over into the land, right? He's saying to do it. When we dealing with the things that the Most High is saying for us to be doing, there ain't no wisdoming out of that, right? Adverse Okay, all right, very good. So, see, we're getting tested even as we speak. I said there were storms in the area, and the storms kicked us off. But we're going to go ahead and keep on going
The other side.
in spite of the fact. Okay, what do we have over here? He's telling Israel to be strong and courageous, but not in brute strength. Yahweh, Yehoshua, is going to fight the battle. You just have to be strong in faith that is already done. Yes, very good. Right. So I think that's the key, and that helps you to be able to move forward because of the fact that you're not worrying about your own ability to be able to do this or that. What you're more so dealing with is the Most High's ability to do what He said He was going to do, and your ability just to be able to believe and accept what it is that He said that He was going to do. All right, let's go down to verse 12. Well, first go back to Deuteronomy. Back to Deuteronomy 31. And let's look at again verse 12.
Assemble the people, the men and the women, and the little ones, and your sojourner who is within your gates, so that they hear, and so that they learn to fear Yahweh your Elohim, and guard to do all the words of this Torah.
Okay, I wanted to think about this idea of learning to fear Yahweh, your Elohim. Because it's one thing to say to fear Yahweh. We know that the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. It's the beginning of knowledge. But over here, Moshe is instructing the people, assemble the people, the men and the women, the little ones, the sojourners, and so that they learn to fear you. And so, we talked about this idea of fearing Yahweh before, and when we think about the idea of the fear of Yahweh, is dealing with understanding who He is. And so we can't fear something that we don't know, that we don't understand or have an understanding of. Sometimes, when you deal with things, you don't have a fear of something because you don't understand it, of something that you actually should be fearful of. I talked about this before, but when we was on we was somewhere, a honeymoon or I think it was our honeymoon, and I was about to eat some poisonous fruit. I was going to eat it because to me it looked like a crab apple. I didn't have a fear of something that I should have had fear of.
The guy, we was putting our towels on we was going to put our towels on some branches on our honeymoon.
We was underneath of this poisonous fruit tree.
And this guy
just chilling, like we on the
was
beach trying to get some shade under this tree.
This guy was like, "Don't touch that tree." He's like, your towels, y'all might have to wash them. He's like, it's going to cause you to break out. He told us what the tree was called.
Yeah.
It was a native guy walking down. We had no clue that we was in danger.
I didn't have a fear for this thing out of ignorance.
Yeah.
I didn't have the knowledge of the thing so that I could fear it. Then the guy had to come along and teach me how to fear the thing. Because I didn't have an understanding of it.
Yeah.
The same thing was true another time when I was somewhere else. I used to always just be on this thing where, this thing is growing out in a while. It looks like something I can eat. I should be able to eat it.
Right.
I was out there gathering up these things that I felt like they looked like onions. I should be able to fry them up with some vegetables or something and eat them. Until I came to the people who actually lived in the area where I was at, I was like, nah, you can't eat these things. But to me, it looked like food.
What was it?
I can't remember at this time, but they looked like green onions, except they was a little fatter.
Okay.
To me, they look like onions. I should be able to chop these things up and saute.
Except they was a little fatter, like they
I
did.
mean, it was. I'm just saying they had the.
People gotta
look.
keep on
Did you
stopping
taste it?
you.
I didn't get to that point.
Oh, they didn't let you.
Because I was going to cook them. I was going to fry them up and eat them.
You just found them in the woods.
Yep. Oh, you can eat these. You got to be able to eat them.
That is funny.
But my ignorance kept me from fearing something that I actually should have feared. And so the same thing is true when we look over here at, Moshe instructing the people, assemble the people, the men and the women and the little ones, and the sojourners that's within you. They need to learn to fear Yahweh. So that this thing even makes sense for me to say, he's going before you.
Yeah.
He's going to fight your battles for you. All you got to do is trust in him, and you'll be good. If you don't have an understanding of who he is to begin with, the fear of Yahweh really is the beginning of wisdom. Because you got to have that first to be able to even accept what it is that he has to say. He should have been able to say, I'm going before you to fight your enemies. You follow down behind me, and I'll come with you also, and you'll be fine. But unless the people have an understanding of who it is that the Most High is, none of these things works. And so the same thing is true for us. We have to be able to know and understand that when we live a life that is in obedience to the Most High, when we have accepted Yeshua as our deliverer and our Lord and Master, being that he becomes the king of our lives, that we're able to trust him in our situations, and we're able to know that we're able to be victorious when we go out and face these things that are actually against us, because we first learned to fear the Most High. We first learned to understand who he is, and that he's worthy to be feared. Because he is the creator and sustainer of all things. All right, let's drop down here. Let's go down to 17.
Then my displeasure shall burn against them in the day, and I shall forsake them and hide my face from them, and they shall be consumed, and many evils and distresses shall come upon them, and it shall be said in that day, it is not because our Elohim is not in our midst that these evils have come upon us.
And so it's interesting that when we think about what's being said over here, right? We just seen where Moshe is talking about them going forward, the Most High going before them, them being victorious over the enemies of Israel. But we always come back to this idea of the Most High, turning from his people because of the disobedience of the people. He said that I shall forsake them and hide my face from them. We have to think about remaining in a place like where it talks about over here in Numbers chapter 6, where it says, read 24, 25, 26.
And Yahweh bless you and guard you. Yahweh make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahweh lift up his face upon you and give you peace.
When we think about the thing that is expressed in this Aharonic blessing, the idea of the Most High blessing you and keeping you, is all as a result of the Most High, knowing you and having a relationship with you, causing for his glory, his countenance, his character, his essence to actually shine on you. And him actually turning his face to you, right? Having a relationship with you. All of this is all contingent on our right relationship with the Most High. And so when we deal with, disobedience, right, we get back to this area of being separated from that which is good, who is the Most High, and all of the wonderful blessings that come as a result of being in the presence of goodness. Like, how could you even expect goodness when the Most High, who is goodness, has turned his face from you?
Right, that's the conundrum of today.
Yeah.
Because everybody out here doing all this wickedness, but expect for good things to happen to them.
Yeah.
You see them and they're promoting evil, you know what I mean? Like, girl, this, and yeah, man, you got to do this, and it's all wickedness. Mm-hmm. And then the end result is, of course, evil, and bad things happen to them, and then they're so like dumbfounded when it happens.
Or confusing something that's happening and calling the thing good when it isn't. We live in a strange time.
Babylon. Confusion.
Right.
Calling good evil, evil good.
It's utter confusion.
That's it. It's
and people out here, living this life, and thinking, that something that's to some obviously wicked and wrong,
right?
But to them, they living in a blessing.
Yeah.
I mean, you got things that are against the Most High, his standard, his laws, that are legal in this country, right? And people are doing these things that are legal and still getting these bad results, and like, well, I'm doing what everybody else does.
Yeah. And it's important for us to be able to understand that there's a way that we have to be able to be in order to be able to be in a place where the Most High is not going to be hiding his face from us.
Oh, I got one. 2 Timothy 3.
Hold on, let me pull it up.
I'm gonna start at verse. I'll just start at 5. I think the point is in 7, but yeah, I'll start at 5. It says, having a form of reverence, but denying its power, and turn away from these. It says, from among them are those who creep into households and captivate silly women loaded down with sins, led away by various lusts. So in the world, these people got these various things that they haven't or don't put off. And it says, always learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So they think they know all this stuff, but the base stuff, I mean, granted, it lists a lot of the stuff in different lusts and all that, but when you don't purge yourself for these things, you find a way to call it whatever, a blessing, or it's a blessing this country legalized same-sex marriage and all this.
Right.
You know,
I'm
it's
finally
like
able to be with my love.
I pray. Yeah, I pray. I've been praying for this day. You know, but
Oh my goodness, that's so ridiculous.
Praying for this day.
I've been praying for this, and they thinking they serve, and God answered it because it happened, and they're like, I'm blessed. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
See how it's crazy out here.
It really is.
Yeah. And and without knowing and understanding that the Most High has actually turned his face from the people as a result of disobedience. You can't receive a blessing from the Most High and he's already turned his face from you. You got to get back in right standing with him first and then receive blessings. If you getting what you're calling blessings, but the Most High turned his face from you, you must be getting it from the God of this world.
Exactly. Right.
You getting it from God, but it's little G O D,
Yeah.
not big G O D.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
We have to learn to fear Yahweh. We have to understand who he is, develop a relationship with him. The only way we do that is through Yeshua HaMashiach, so that we can partake in all of the things that he has for us. And so when we think about the idea of Moses instructing the people to go forward and be strong and courageous and not fear and don't be afraid, all of this is begins with understanding who the Most High is first. And so when we go all the way back to the beginning, when we think about the idea of Moses dealing with the people and saying, look at my walk and hear these words that I'm about to be giving you so that you could do them. That's saying a lot just even right there. Because Moses was somebody who had an intimate relationship with the Most High. And so therefore he was able to even go to a place and hear what the Most High was saying. And so he's saying to the people, I'm not going to be able to be that for you no more. You got to be able to trust in the Most High on your own, without me.
And we're trying.
Here's Yehoshua, just regular guy, not the superhero like Moshe was. They had to get rid of Moshe. He was a superhero. They couldn't even look at him. They had to put the veil on over top of his head.
Stop.
He was superhuman. Like, he wasn't even real. Moshe wasn't. Like he was like this guy that wasn't even like he's able to go and the Most High speaks to him face to face.
Yeah.
Like we could talk to Moses and then Moses could tell the Most High what we said. Like there's no way he could have went over into the land. Moshe.
They would have said he brought him in there.
He would have got all the credit. When you think about it, he gets a lot of credit as it is.
Yeah, he does.
So much so that he got the law of Moses.
It's like the law of Moses. I'm like,
The law of Moses.
it ain't his law.
He can come up with that.
Yeah.
He's a superhero. Moshe is.
I mean, no disrespect.
Yeah, yeah. He did his thing. He held it down. But
I you know what I'm saying? I ain't been nowhere near his shoes.
No, yeah, right. But he's saying to the people, if you just would trust in the Most High, He gives you the ability to be courageous. Because He's going to fight the battle for you. All you got to do is trust that He's going to do it for you. And move forward in it.
yeah, courageous.
All right, let's see. Let's go down to. I want to look at 21. Let's go back to Deuteronomy. Let's read again. Hold on, what happened? Let's read again verse 21.
And it shall be when many evils and distresses come upon them, that this song shall answer before them as a witness, for it is not to be forgotten in the mouths of their seed. For I know their thoughts, which they are forming today, even before I bring them to the land which I swore to give them.
Okay, very good. So it's interesting when we think about, moving into thinking about the Song of Moses. It's interesting that when we think about the idea of, keeping the laws, statutes, and commands of the Most High, there's a law that we don't really think about that much. That the fact that we're in exile, and the fact that there ain't no priests and that there ain't no temple don't stop us. It don't stop us from this command over here. It don't stop us from learning this song of Moses. He said, and it shall be when many evils is distress come upon you, that this song shall answer before them as a witness. This thing that you've taught to your children. But it's interesting, we'll talk more about this in the next chapter, but it's interesting that when you look at this part here of verse 21, where it says, for it is not to be forgotten in the mouths of their seed, talking about the Song of Moses. This part here, for I know their thoughts which they are forming today, even before I bring them into the land. The Most High knows that what He has done up to this point to these people is not enough to sustain them going over into the land. Which is a lot, by the way. He's done a lot already. But He knows, He said He knows their thoughts that they're forming, and it's necessary for you to rehearse and remember and go over these words in your mind to help with going over. And there's something that's developing on the inside of you that could prevent you from actually being able to be strong and courageous. But the thing about it is that thing that is developing, that intent, that the Most High is talking about, that is developing inside of those people, you know, as they begin to get ready to go into the land, is something that we could say is developing inside of every human being in the world. It's just your carnal mind. Because that's the only thing that's developing on the inside of you that alters, that forms and creates your intent. It's the thing that wars against the spirit that's inside of you. If we're going to talk about something that weakens you, that diminishes you, that causes there to be a chink in your proverbial armor, it got to be your carnal mind. It's the only thing that there could be that could cause for you to get to the place where you're not able to accept what it is that the Most High has already said. And so because of the fact that the Most High says, I know this thing that's working on the inside of you, he says for to Moses, write down this thing, this song, and let the people rehearse it so that they're able to keep going, in doing the things that the Most High has for the people to be doing. This is something that we as human beings, we need this. We need this thing. We need for it to be said, you could do it. As human beings. We need for it to be said, you could make it. Keep going. You could do it. Keep fighting. We need for this to be said. Don't worry. Be happy. We need for this to be said.
Yeah.
Those are technically affirmations?
That's what it is, right?
There's power in words.
You need to be built up
Yeah.
in your mind.
Yeah.
Even though it's already been said before. You need for it to be said again. Some people more than others.
Yeah.
It's not good enough for me just to say I love you one time. Remember the last time I said it? That's still true. You don't gotta keep on.
That's the same.
That's what I be like. I be like,
I said it.
how many times you gonna be saying
I
it?
said it. You don't remember? You don't remember? Remember I said it before.
I meant what I said.
Yeah, I wasn't even lying. I was serious. But we're human beings. We need for these things to be repeated so that we can remember. Oh, that is right. That is right. That is right. You do love me. That is right. My bad. I forgot. We need that as humans. And so the Most High said, I see this thing that's working, the intentions of their thoughts. There's something that's forming inside of them even today. Let's make provision for that. But the provision that he made, this Song of Moses, this thing that's encouraging the people. Let's look over at Philippians.
I like too how you made it a song, because you know how people with music. You know?
That's how we can remember it, right? It's a song.
a song.
We gotta figure out how to get the Song of Moses and put it to song so that we can remember it. Because it's kind of long, it seems.
It is long.
But if we made it a song, we could remember it.
Yeah.
And he said we're supposed to remember it. Look at Philippians 4. Let's look at verses 6 and 7.
So
Hold on, wait a second. Let me change versions on this.
A different version.
Sometimes the King James is just the best.
the one that hits.
That's my point. That's my song right there.
They're different.
I listen to that every time I go to the beach. I kid you not. Philippians 4 and 6.
Philippians 4:6.
Philippians 4 and 6, yeah.
Be careful for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto Yahweh. 7, right?
Yeah.
And the peace of Yahweh, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Yeshua HaMashiach.
Okay, very good. So when we think about the idea of going before the Most High and continuing on with the thing that is already been created in you, this relationship with your master. In everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known unto Elohim. This is the way that you're able to be careful for nothing, because you're keeping up the relationship with the Most High, thanking them for everything. The same thing you thanked them for yesterday, you thanking them for the same thing over again today. You're repeating these things, these known things. It's known that he brought you from being nothing into being something in him. He did it already. But there's a reason for you to thank him every day, so that you're able to be careful for nothing. None of these things that happen is causing you to be able to be pushed off, of your firmness and your what was the I forget the word that I was saying earlier with
Is it a Hebrew word?
no, it's a regular English word. But I'm saying in terms of your steadfastness, you have that steadfastness because of the fact that you're continuing the relationship with the Most High. And so when we think about this idea of having to constantly remind ourselves, because that's what you're doing. I don't know if you know this or not, but that's what you're doing. The Most High already knows. He knows already. You're reminding yourself. He knows what it is that you want, that you need. He knows what you need more than what you know what you need. But it's important for you to be able to understand that the Most High is in the equation. You're reminding yourself. That's how you're able to be strong and courageous and being careful, being anxious for nothing. Living a life that's not a life of timidity, but a life of power.
You're thinking about apprehensive, the impending doom feeling?
No, I was thinking about the word that had to do with being stuck in a particular position. which I still can't think of it right now. But the idea is firmness, steadfastness. And that all has to do with the fact that, as it says over here in Philippians, that you're in everything allowing for the Most High to be a part of everything that you're doing. And then when you do that, you have this peace of Elohim which passes all understanding. And we think about the idea of peace that passes all understanding, your level of calmness don't correspond with reality. You in a situation that caused for somebody who don't have Yeshua as their Lord and Master. You in a situation where somebody who don't have him is about to go crazy. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't understand. All of these things that's happened to me. I don't know what to do. I'm losing my mind. I'm going out of control. I don't have any grip on things. It's about to go crazy. That's what your circumstances is calling for you to be. But in Messiah, because of the fact that we've already given all of our situations unto the Most High, and we've made our things known unto him, he's able to, even if we don't know, the people didn't know what was over there. They hadn't been over there. They didn't know what they was getting ready to be facing. But the Most High said, be strong and courageous, before they saw what was over there. So that means that it didn't matter what was over there. It didn't matter what they saw when they got there, because he didn't say, well, go over there and see if you'll be able to be strong and courageous in the face of what it is that you're about to see over there. That's not what happened. He said, go over there and be strong and courageous before you know what's over there. So he was saying, it don't matter what's over there if we know that the Most High is going before us. It don't matter what the situation is, because that's the variable.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's going to change. It don't matter. Whenever you put anything in there, the equation is always going to be the same. X, that's X over there. Whatever X is equal to strong and courageous. So it don't matter what you put over there. It's not going to change the solution to the problem. But when we look at Philippians, it kind of helps us to understand that there's more things involved in just, in having this understanding. And one of those things is you rehearsing these things and involving the Most High in your situation. Which, when you think about it, this is what Israel's being taught by losing Moses. They're forced to have to draw closer to the Most High in a different way than they've ever done before. Where he's telling the people, look at me and my walk and what I have said, and allow for that to be the thing that moves you forward. Let's look at a couple more of these. Let's look at 2 Timothy 1 and 6.
Wherefore I put thee in remembrance that thou stir up the gift of Yahweh, which is in thee by the putting on of my hands.
Okay, very good. So we think about this idea of the fact that we have Paul speaking with Timothy, dealing with this, this position that Timothy was going to have to be in. These responsibilities and things that he was going to have to be dealing with, things that was inside of him that needed to come out, so that he was able to be effective in what it was that he was doing. We already looked at verse 7 where it talks about Elohim was not given a spirit of fear, but the power and love and a sound mind. But the verse before that, verse 6, is dealing with this idea of stirring up the gift of Elohim and bringing these things that's inside of you to remembrance, bringing these things that's inside of you out, which is in thee by the putting on of my hands. And so you have the idea of people's interactions with other people joining in the stirring up of the gifts of the Most High, which is along the same lines of thinking about the idea of encouragement. One another helping each other to grow in the Most High so that we are able to go on in these things. Right? And so we see that an example of how, this idea of people just being kind of, by themselves and, just not connected to people, other humans. Physically, we're human beings, right? Social media is kind of it's oxymoronic because it's not, being social deals with actually having real interactions. Not like interactions in the metaverse, like interactions where there's touching, right? And I can, if all I'm doing is reading words, what's your face look like when you're saying that? I could say one.
Now they're gonna make it so you can see the face.
It's just like
it's gonna be an avatar.
It's crazy. Like it's crazy, right?
But
there's a necessity for it. Because that's something that's missing.
Yeah.
Right? Because I can say a sentence, I could type a sentence and you could read it, but you don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I was just gonna say that, like, we think even with old technology like phones, like we're hearing the person, but you're not really hearing the person. You know what I mean? Like when you're in person talking to someone face to face, you're seeing them and hearing them.
Yeah.
But when you're virtual, you're seeing a likeness.
Yeah, it's different.
Right.
You're not even seeing that person.
I know. Do
You're not hearing that person. You're hearing. A
my
likeness
voice
of their
even sound like this? I wonder.
It's weird. It's super weird when I.
It
hear
goes
my voice
into
over
this
there.
thing over here, and then there's
gets
sound coming back
digitized.
out. It probably got turned into numbers first, and then turned into a wave or something, and come back out again.
I think about when people come to our house and they're like, "Oh, this is how the rest of the room looks."
Yeah, you just see this.
Well, with sound, the sound is made in your ear.
Mm-hmm.
Like you think that sounds out here, it's actually made in the air.
But it's like we need, like we're social beings. Like the perfect way that these people sit up here and destroy people is by taking them, locking them in a room, and not allowing for them to interact with anybody but their own selves.
Yeah.
Like that's a form of torture.
That's what they say about homeschool kids.
Yeah. Well, it's different when you got a bunch of kids. They're able to interact with each other.
Yeah, that's true.
I was just gonna add, like, it's that social or being able to understand nonverbal communication, just even for children, is really important.
Yeah.
It is, and it's a lost thing that people don't like. I mean, I remember, with like the people that you spend the most time with. You're able to kind of develop an unspoken language
Yeah, definitely.
where you're able to understand like nonverbal things.
Mm-hmm. That's knowing a person.
That's knowing somebody.
That's knowing a person.
When you get to that place where you're able to not have to sit up here and spill out every single thing, where it could just be like a look.
So they know when you're ready to go. You know that.
Right.
But that's something that's missed if you don't have this thing. Right? If you never put hands on somebody. And so it's interesting that we see over here this need that's within Timothy that even comes about by people coming together. Go ahead.
No. I'm just agreeing. You got people that are the social media thing, man. I recommend. I'm gonna break myself from it for the whole month, and it's different, Like everybody should try it. Like go see people face to face, talk to people. Like.
I'll say my mood is even better, but I'm taking a break too.
See, yeah, because your mood's better because you don't have other people's thoughts in your head. You gotta consider that too. People got all these different spirits on them, and you go on social media and you're scrolling, and you just entertaining all these different spirits. It's all this stuff, all these ideas that necessarily whether you don't want to think about it, know about it, it's irrelevant. So when you just focus on the Most High and your situation and actual people, you can think clearer. A lot of emotions that you don't want, you have better control over it. I found myself, I go and look and like somebody say, I'm like, you change your mood a little bit. You be like, what's wrong with people? So it's like, yeah.
But when you talk about thoughts, most of the times I'm reading them to myself. So it's a form of a thought. When you're reading stuff that you don't even really are going to be entertained by, it's just something there. It is a thought that you're having because you're reading it to
You're
yourself.
still putting it in you, yeah. Yep.
It's really interesting.
And that's powerful. Like the word, the scriptures talk about the word, the words that the Messiah spoke, and all. Words are powerful because they generate ideas, and them ideas can either stick with you or you let. That's so powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah.
Right. And so when we think about where Moshe is going with what he's beginning to do in terms of getting ready to say what the Song of Moses is, dealing with the idea of people encouraging people. I guess it's first of all Moses encouraging the nation with his words, but then the people repeating his words of encouragement to each other, to themselves. He's kind of implementing this thing of community and togetherness and the idea of needing other people for encouragement and lifting up and admonishment. So we want to end with let's look at Ephesians 5:17 down through 20.
It says, "So then do not be foolish, but understand what the desire of Yahweh is." It says, "And do not be drunk with wine, in which is loose behavior, but be filled with the Spirit, speaking to each other in psalms and songs of praise and spiritual songs, singing and striking the strings in your heart to the Master, giving thanks always for all to Elohim the Father, in the name of our Master Yeshua Messiah."
Okay, very good. So it's interesting when we look at this, the idea is starting off with knowing, having understanding what the desire of the Most High is. Being sober, being soberly minded, being filled with the Spirit, right? We talked about how important it was to be able to be led by the Spirit, which is the thing that actually qualifies you as being connected to the Most High in the first place. But above that, above being connected to the Most High, speaking to each other in psalms and songs of praise and spiritual songs, singing and playing music to the Master, right? Dealing with you and other people, coming together, encouraging one another, singing unto the Most High together, giving thanks together to the Most High. And so we'll see, as it talks about the Song of Moses, which is the next chapter, but we'll see where, some of these things, are not something that's just a quote unquote New Testament thoughts, but, understanding what this thing is just, a reminder of what it is that the Most High, a collective reminder of what it is that the Most High has done and will do for his people. You saying it to yourself, you speaking it out loud, somebody else saying it to you, all of these things going on at the same time, so that we're able to defeat the thing that's going on inside of us, which is going to cause us to go astray. It's not enough just to know that the Most High is going out before you, that he's going to come down on the inside of you, that he's going to lead you and guide you everywhere that he wants for you to go. But he also needs you to collectively understand that he's doing it not just with you, but with other people that's like you. Y'all doing it together, and he's moving you all together forward, and you're all helping each other go forward at the same time. Okay, what's this say over here? I realize social media was hindering me, which is why I deleted all my social media accounts, because you see so many things contrary to Yah's word, and your subconscious soaks it in. Yeah, your mind. That's the way that we gather information. We see things, we hear things, and things get in there, whether you want them to be there or not. It always makes me laugh when I think about, the court proceedings, something is said, and the judge says they're stricken from the records.
Don't take that into consideration.
Yeah.
But you have to, though.
Yeah.
Because it's in your mind now.
Exactly.
You can't unthink it.
That's for real.
And so when we think about these things that we allow to go across, look, when we think about what Moses is even doing with the Song of Moses thing, he's preparing a thing that you're able to fill your mind with.
Right.
That's able to combat against this thing that's working on the inside of you naturally. And so, you know, it's essentially the same thing as what we're talking about in terms of removing, filtering, determining what it is that we see and hear, so that our mind is concentrated in the place that it's supposed to be concentrated, which is on the Most High and the things that are pertaineth unto Him. Okay, so that being said, does there anybody have any last thoughts, questions, comments before we are done here? We want to remember everybody to share this on your social media accounts. So that we can replace some of the foolishness with some rightness out here in the situation.
Yeah, that's
You
that's
know,
something.
you could do a little drive by. You put your thing out, and then get out, get in, get out. Put your thing out, and then get out of there. Instead of letting all of these things, because it ain't nothing for you just to be sitting there scrolling and just see something that you didn't even want to see. That you didn't even want to see. Yeah. Okay, so that being said, we thank everybody for your additions to the situation. Y'all willing, we will be back. Oh, next week we're going to be going to the Fifth Sabbath Fellowship. So
DC area, if anybody want to come.
what is that, Maryland? Virginia?
It's Virginia, but it's right outside of DC.
Yeah. So we'll be down there with the people down there for Shabbat. So
Anybody want to go? Ask us for the address.
yeah. All right. So that being said, hope everyone has a blessed week. And for now, we'll say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.